Hey guys, today on Creative Keyboards, we're going to go to 6 different music stores to find the best 88 note controller that we can find. Can I possibly find something that will replace my beautiful and my favorite touch of all time, the 88 note Yamaha P515, which I did a review of right here. But can I find something that is going to have more DAW control, that is going to have more response with programs like Keyscape and Ivory and different things like that? Can we find that in an 88 note controller that feels this great but does more MIDI control? There's only one way to find out. Are you stuck at home, can't go to music stores because of COVID, or maybe you don't live near music stores and you're just saying, man, I would love to go out to some music stores and see some keyboards? Got you covered today. Let's go. Okay, so let's start out with Guitar Center number 1. We start out here in the home piano section of Guitar Center. Don't fool around with Williams. Just don't. Trust me. Also, resist the temptation to get something that has a lot of stuff on it, like rhythms and accompaniment stuff. I don't think that's really what you want. No Casio. Except I will say that some of the Privias don't feel too bad. Okay, so this is the P45, and I highly suggest this for someone who is just needing a good, inexpensive 88-note keyboard. It's pretty light on stuff that it has available for you to use as far as sounds and controls, but it's got a really decent feel, very close to the P125. So it's certainly something for someone who's on a budget. Now this is a keyboard that I actually bought, and somewhere I have an unboxing video, but I never really went forward with it. It's got a good feel, decent. This is the Yamaha MX88. It's got a decent feel. Probably would be good for a lot of people, but for me, the action was just too light. Price is good. It's got a lot of things to it. It didn't work for me, but it might work for you if you want something a little lighter and you want something that has a lot of options and a decent controller for 88 note keys. It has DAW control, and so that might be something that you're interested in, but for me it just was not what I was hoping for as far as feel, especially compared to the P515. Now this is the Juno DS. This is not too bad. It's got a nice feel. It's got a lot of fun things on it, including the phrase pad, and I believe you can hook a mic into this, and just this could be a very good keyboard for gigging. It's very solid action. Not quite as solid as the P515, but it feels good, and it is certainly something that could be a choice. The RD2000 is a possibility. It's got the Roland little twirly thing, and it's got wheels. It's got really decent feel, probably Roland's best feel. They're PHA4, I believe they call it, but it's also really pricey, and a little bit of maybe DAW control, or maybe that's just control for the sequencer. Then you have the Big Daddy, the Fantom, and it's good, big in every way, including the price. But this is a workstation, so not really what we're looking for in a controller. You can see it does have DAW control. It's got different ways to control tracks with the sliders, but not exactly what we're looking for in this search. But it feels good. It feels very solid, and it should be for $4,000. But again, probably Roland's PHA feel. If you're wondering why the KeyStation 88 is only $249 and has full-size keys, it feels like a little synthesizer, a little crappy synthesizer, actually. So that's basically what we have here at this Guitar Center. We did not talk about Nord Stage or the Nord keyboards, but the prices are just so atrocious. I might be interested in some kind of controller if they had one, but then again, you really have to want red because they don't make another color. They feel great. I know lots of pros in Nashville that swear by them and use them on sessions all the time. The Nord piano feels great, but I'm not sure that is a major step up to where the feel is on the P515, and there's not really any DAW control that I know of on these. Again, don't sleep on the P45. Just something to remember when you're looking for something low cost, a decent 88 note keyboard, and you don't need a lot of DAW control. You want some decent piano sounds just to keep in your living room. I think you're going to be okay with the P45. All right, let's head on to our second Guitar Center and enter the contemporary keyboards room. Although I'm not sure that first room is very contemporary. Here's the first one I ran into, the Alesis Prestige. I've not really seen this, $449. It's got a really nice feel though. Still, sounds are kind of crap, but it's very light. Now here we can compare the P125, which I've done a review here, and it's got a very similar feel to the P45. Although you can tell one of the differences is the red stripe, felt stripe that makes it look more like a piano on the P125. The P125 is just a little bit smoother, but they both feel similar. I'm just not sure that it's worth the difference in cost, where a P125 is going to be $649 and it's about 150 bucks extra for the P125 over the P45. So I'm not sure why you would do the P45 unless you were just really strapped for cash. Now this is a keyboard I really like, and I've thought about maybe trying this one out for a while in my studio, the RD88 by Roland. I love the sounds on this. I love the feel on this keyboard. Doesn't seem to have any DAW control, although I would have to look that up. But it does have a mic input where you can hook up mic into it for use in live gigs. It does have a really nice feel. Note the felt just like a regular piano. Now we're going to compare that feel to the Roland RD2000, and it feels somewhat similar. And it's half the cost. The RDs are both solid. And look there, wooden keys on the RD2000. Here's two more weird but possible entries with the same exact action as the P515 that I have reviewed here. This is the CP88 by Yamaha. It's a stage piano. It's got lots of unique kinds of sounds. I mean, similar in a lot of ways to the stage pianos of the P series. Now this is the YC88, and it's strangely very, very similar to the CP88, but they're both pretty pricey. Neither have DAW controls that I can tell are mostly stage piano, and they have these little weird on-off switches, which are very small and tiny, and they feel like they might break, and then they have these weird modulation and pitch bend things. Okay, so let's hit our first Sam Ash music store on our little trip here, and I was excited to find when I first came in that they had one of the things I was looking for, and that is the Arturia Keylab 88, although I then found out this is the Essentials, the Keylab 88 essential. So I soon found out though, when I played it, it just felt like a little semi-weighted keyboard, which is what it says it is. It's springier, semi-weighted, more like a synth, but that's what you would expect in a cheaper keyboard, and this certainly is. Just regular keys, not fully weighted. So I haven't got a chance yet to play the actual Keylab 88. You see the throw is shorter as far as playing the keyboard. It does have pitch bend and all that kind of stuff. The pitch wheels, but if you're doing synthy things, bass, drums, maybe this would be good, and certainly for the price, as we'll talk about later. This is a KX8 for 99 bucks. I know a keyboard player in Nashville who actually tours with Garth Brooks, but he swears by this keyboard action, and he's taken this keyboard action and put into a controller he made for his home. And I can see why. It feels very solid, and this was an old one. Now here's one they've had here for a while. It's a DX21, kind of a blast from the past. You don't see these around very often anymore. But the action still feels really good. This is probably a 30-year-old keyboard, at least. Now this is the FP30X. This is the new FP series, 30X, 60X, and 90X. I've always felt like the 30 was a very similar keyboard feel, sound to the P125, but some people prefer it to the Yamahas. It doesn't feel bad at all. Here we see a Chrome by Korg, more of a workstation kind of keyboard. Not great controller, but a decent feel. Here is the Mod X I talked about earlier. This is the Mod 8, and similar, if not exact, same feel as the MX88. It's got a lot of bells and whistles on it, workstation-ish, does a lot of fun stuff if you want to do those kind of things. But for what we're looking for as a next step 88 Note MIDI controller, I don't think this is it. And now here's something our friends at Samash said, and this is why we're not seeing some of the things we want to see at these stores, is that basically the world has gone instrument crazy, and it's hard to get supply right now. And so they're really working on this, and you probably notice this everywhere, at every store you go to, but certainly music stores are not the exception. All right, let's move on to our next Guitar Center number 3, and see what kind of keyboards we can find in here. Now, this is one that I found that is a workstation. So this is not definitely something that would really fit in our 88 Note controller category, but it feels so good. It's got a great feel on it. This is the Korg Nautilus. Some people have told me the Korg Grand Stage is very good, and this feels great. It's got pretty great sounds on it too, but again, a workstation and quite expensive because it is pretty much their flagship workstation, I believe, right now. Oh, that was disappointing. All right, let's move on to our next Sam Ash. Here we come into the big area. This is a big store. I am sparing you from having to listen to all the playing that's going on in this video. That's why I'm doing voiceovers. All right, so here we come into the Pro area. Another Mod X. Again, this is the Mod X8. Feels just like the MX88. A lot of nice features on it. A lot of fun things. I guess it depends on which one you get, but they both feel about the same. This is a Fantom, pretty pricey at $4,000, but has a great feel. And again, like the Nautilus, it's probably their. It's also wooden keys. DAW Control, very much like the RD2000. All right, we found this room, and it looks like we're looking for the Keylab 88, but it's the older one. It's not the newer Mark II, and it feel. Oh, that's in Essentials too. So this is not the one we're looking for. They don't have Mark IIs here again, probably because of supply. Now, this is the A61, and it's very similar to the S61 that I have, Mark II. A little bit cheaper, but the keyboard is about the same. I really thought I had found the Keylab 88 that I want to test, fully weighted, but don't think I'm going to find it right now. And ooh, what's that in back? Look at that Roland Lucina little keytar. I haven't seen one of these in a long time. Always wanted one for some reason, but you can hold it and play it on stage. It's very cute. All right, so here's a few things. I haven't played this before. First thing I'm going to do is turn the sound down and just play it. It feels pretty good. But again, this is a stage piano. Very solid. It's only $5.99, so a worthy competitor maybe to the P45. Not a lot of sounds, and the sounds are pretty just decent. Now here is something pretty serious. This is the FP60, and the next step up from the FP30 that we saw. Gonna play it here a little bit. I love a lot of the things this keyboard has, a lot of the controls that this keyboard have. Feels good, but you have so much more function on here. One of my problems with the P series is the complaints about the P515 is that they just don't have enough control. You've got part controls, upper and lower. You've got an equalizer. You've got ways to change the tempo. It looks like it might have a tap tempo. Don't know for sure. But it even has a mic in. So you can plug in a mic to this keyboard. So this is a really great keyboard I'd love to review, and something to certainly look at if you are playing gigs or need a keyboard for playing out. $1149, way pricier than the P125. So again, here's the RD88 that we talked about. I really like this keyboard, as I said before. Just a lot of nice controls, and it feels great. It's lightweight. It's got some really interesting things to it. It's got tiny little speakers, but yep, underneath is where the real sound comes out, just like the P125 actually. I would love to see how this thing feels playing things like Keyscape, but still don't see any DAW controls. All right, so let's move on now to our last Guitar Center. And this Guitar Center has always been interesting in the past, and we walk right into the keyboard section here. Got a nice keyboard area here almost every time we come here. Again, there's the MX88, there's a CP88, which has the same keyboard as the P515, but funky little things and no DAW controls. So there's an older RD300 that's been around a while. It's funny how you see the same keyboards at the same stores for a long time because nobody buys them or people trade them in. There's the Juno DS I talked about earlier. Here's some keyboards I haven't seen before. Synth action is not bad. Here's another, a PolyBrute, which I want to see. Pretty pricey, but if you're a synth enthusiast, it looks like one of the really great keyboards for synth playing, but the feel is only okay. And you've got this little weird pressy thing here. A lot of things to put your fingers on, but don't care much for the action, really. Now down here, ooh, look at this. Prophet 10. A lot of the new Prophets are out. Look at that price, $43.99. Goodness gracious. You really got to love synths. All right, so here are the Korg little keyboards again. I saw these at another store. The feel is crap, terrible. But the grandmother feels really great, but those Korgs up there, oh no, we're not going to do that. And that's purple. And we're starting to come to the end of our little tour here. One thing to think about is if you are looking for an 88 note controller that you want to be semi-weighted, certainly this for $379, that is something you got to think about. Now I don't know if they're blowing these out or what the deal is, but that's not bad. All right, we're back in the Keyboard Lair now, and wow, that was a lot of stores to go to, but I think we found pretty much the same thing, and that is not going to find this kind of action except in the CP88 by Yamaha and the YC88 by Yamaha. They have the exact same feel. You're also going to find this kind of 88 note feel with the Roland RD2000, the very expensive Fantom by Roland, and a few other keyboards like that are going to have the kind of wooden feel and hammer action that we're looking for in an 88 note controller. Now, worthy contenders, the Roland RD88. You know I like this one. I talked about it a lot, and we see it at just about every store, and you won't have problems finding these at a local dealer or at least online. The Roland RD88 is very similar to this keyboard, has speakers, has a nice feel, probably better in sounds, but that's something we saw out there a lot. The other thing we saw a lot out there is the Yamaha MX88, and though I don't feel necessarily that it's the keyboard touch that I want, it might work for you, and if it does, then it's lightweight, it's a decent action, and it does have some DAW control, which is something that this and the RD88 neither have really. They're just stage pianos. I also did like the Roland DS88, another great keyboard. Again, not really sure of its DAW control, but it does have a nice feel and has nice sounds, and probably is going to be a good stage keyboard for a lot of you, and perhaps even something good for your studio at the same time. And then finally we saw the Arturia Keylab 88 Essential. Definitely not a weighted keyboard for piano playing, but certainly a good semi-weighted 88 note controller, and at a great price, $329. You'll see that. I've got some links down below if you're interested in looking at that and maybe picking one up. I think it's probably a good buy. It's not what I would ever buy because I'm a piano player, but if you're a person who likes to have one keyboard, 88 notes, and you need it to be weighted for synth or piano or anything, then that might do the trick. And the price is so good right now, and you can find them everywhere apparently. Of course, the two I really wanted to see was the Native Instruments S88. I have the S61 right here, and we'll be doing a review on that in the next video. And the Arturia Keylab 88 Mark II, which is fully weighted, and I'd like to get both of those here in the studio to really work with them and see how they work with Keyscape and some of my other keyboard, piano, electric piano. If you do have the S88 or the Arturia Mark II 88 Keylab, comment below and let me know what you think of them as far as piano playing and their feel. I'll continue this series about 88 note controllers, and so far I've found nothing that's going to make me sell this, even though I am considering selling it, but I haven't really found anything that would make me say, yes, I want to get rid of this and get something else. So if you have suggestions, put those in the comments below. If you like this music store search and how I go out and look through all the music stores we have here locally, and you'd like me to do another one, maybe one based on synth action controllers or best synths out there, or I don't know, whatever else that you might want to see in keyboards at music stores, so we could look at that. Maybe a digital piano roundup, we could do that at some point. Next up, I am doing a review of the Native Instruments S61 Mark II. Love it and like some things about it, some things I don't like about it, but we'll talk about it. So as soon as that video is ready, it'll be right here, right next to me. It'll be sitting right here in this space. I also just did a video about taking an old piano and making it into a keyboard controller desk. So if you'd like to see that video, you'll see that right here. Thanks for watching this video. We've gone to a lot of music stores. It's been a long video. Thanks so much for hanging in there, and we'll talk to you soon.